for an unnecessary dramatic opening. Talk about probably the greatest classification of fishing lures out there today, soft plastics. So years ago, most of your artificial fishing lures were hard baits. You had some spoons as well. You did have soft plastics. They were mainly worms, a lot of ribbon tail or curly tail worms. And then over time, more and more soft plastics have been developed, and a lot of them at the beginning were just made as trailers. So something like this net bait Paca craw, it's made as a trailer, versus something like this, which obviously looks more realistic from Nico. They would put it on a jig just like this. And that's kind of what they were made for. Well, then people started to realize these are fantastic just by themselves. And so more and more soft plastics have been created. They've developed the stick worm. I think the first one was by Yamamoto's Senko, or his Senko. This one is a yum dinger. When I first saw this, I thought, a stick worm? I don't get it. But they work, I would say, better than any worm in history, and have become one of the greatest soft baits of all time. But if you're talking about buzz baits, you can obviously add a horny toad as a trailer, or you can fish it by itself. Of course, if you're talking about swim baits, you can have a swim bait. If you want to go with a more flashy presentation, you go with a spinner with that swim bait. You can also just use soft plastic as more of just a body. So just something squishy for them to bite down on. And then you can also go with kind of a silhouette dark color presentation, like on this black chatterbait, where basically you just want a dark presentation. But once again, I have a twin tail or a single tail grub on there, and so it's a trailer. And of course, grubs and tubes are some of the OG as well. I'd say right after worms, grubs and tubes are some of the first plastics. And you got your fluke style, like this, in this bluegill flash color. I think soft plastics are exciting to use. I enjoy using them. And it's just, if you're going for a natural presentation, just use the soft plastic by itself. And then if you're going for a, more of a flashy presentation, use bright colors generally, or metal flake with a spinner or something like that. Or with a jig, you're just going for a bigger profile. And then of course, if you're going for, a silhouette presentation, it's the same thing really. You're just adding it to a jig, adding it to a buzzbait, adding it to a spinnerbait or a chatterbait, just going with darker colors and focusing on something like a chatterbait that has more vibration. But however you want to fish them, they're dynamite, and they're some of the greatest lures on the market today. Of course, there's different types of soft plastic. Something like a Senko is very soft, which makes it a great fish catcher, but it falls apart easily. I would say that your Kitech swim bait's kind of the same. Something like anything Yum, like the Yum Dinger or a Z-Man product, tend to be tougher material. And then you've got the ultra craziness in these Nico products. They're almost so tough that it's hard to even get your hook in there straight and get it set properly. So you just have to determine, are you wanting something that's going to last for 20 or 30 fish bites? Or do you think I'm willing to go through a package but yet catch 50 fish with that one package? Which brings us back kind of to the point of soft plastics, is they're cheaper. I could get a jerk bait that's going to cost me, I don't know, anywhere from $6 to like $12, generally speaking. Or I could get a package of flukes, which is a soft plastic jerkbait, and I might have just as much luck. I might lose 3 or 4 of these and still have paid a third of the price. So really the point of a soft plastic is how cheap they are. And then, like I've already explained, the versatility. Depending on the presentation, you can use them by themselves or with something else. So like these here, this buzz bait and this little spinner bait, the action is already in the soft plastic. This is going to flutter on top. This is going to give its swim bait, spin, regardless of what you put on it. This is only for flash. This just causes even more commotion and vibration. Like I said, they're very versatile, and you can use them however you want. Generally speaking, on a soft bait like this net bait pack-a-crawl, it's not the most realistic looking bait. It's more about the action. It looks so good with its pinchers going through the water. You compare that to this Nico crawl that looks extremely realistic. The action is not going to be as good. That's why this is more suitable as a trailer for fishing it faster, a faster presentation. This is more suitable fishing it as a natural presentation, leaving it alone and just throwing it out there and just twitching it. So you have to understand that difference between different kinds of soft baits. Those designed for movement, not going to be the most realistic, and those designed to be ultra realistic and designed for little movement. And just like any other type of bait, soft baits are designed to fish in all water columns. You have your top water, of course you have your bottom, or sinking to the bottom, and then you got your mid depth like this fluke. My personal favorite lure, as I've said, is the buzzbait, but that's not good for all seasons, and it's not good for all circumstances. If I was told I could only have one type of lure for the rest of my life, I would not pick a hard bait such as a crankbait. I would not pick something like a hollow body frog. I would pick the category of soft plastics. They're so versatile, they're so cheap, and you can just do so much with them, and they work so well. Like, they're dynamite. Most professional anglers will tell you when they're out there fishing with their spinner baits, their crankbaits, their chatterbaits, and they just can't catch a fish, they'll end up slowing down and going back to something like a Cinco or a Yum Dinger, something that's soft plastic, because that's almost a guaranteed bite. I'm not saying you're going to catch a ton, but you will catch fish with soft plastics. So what are the greatest soft plastics of all time? Well, that's a topic for another video, but I'd like to get more in depth on them and really discuss where I think each one has its niche or its role and its application. And I just love talking about fishing lures, period. So until next time, take care.